So this is Father Charles Sikorsky, president of Divine Mercy University, and I'm joined here today with Mark Matoza, who is the Vice Chancellor for the Archdiocese of Military Services here in the United States. Thank you, Mark, for making time to be with us.
Good to be here with you, Father, among all these people.
So many people here. We're at the National Eucharistic Congress, and I think there are 50,000 people. It's just a great church event, and really just blessed and graced to be here. So you're Vice Chancellor for Evangelization
Yes.
at the Archdiocese of the Military. So tell a little bit about what that entails and what that's all about.
Well, I began working with the Archdiocese about 20 years ago and came in with opening an office for youth ministry, which then expanded to young adult ministry, faith formation, and evangelization. And our goal really is to meet the Archbishop's goal of supporting Catholic priests and Catholic coordinators on military installations around the world. So we have about 220 U.S. military installations, and then providing for resources for people to grow in their Catholic faith when they're deployed, underway on ships, wherever they are.
And I don't know if there's any truth to this, but my gut is, it seems to me like the military families would be more devout or be more interested in God and faith. Is there any correlation to that or not? Or is it?
That was the old saying that more people would believe in God in a foxhole. I think a little bit more of the reverse is happening in the sense of people are kind of having more sense of self-doubt that what they've seen or done has almost alienated them from approaching God or the community. So the very things that could help them, like the healing Eucharist that we're here to celebrate, sometimes they remove themselves from it. So the importance of being able to reach out and talk about our joy for the faith is really vital right now.
So you mentioned self-doubt from things they've seen and experienced.
Yes.
So I guess that's one of your major obstacles then to evangelize.
It can be, right.
Could you tell a little bit more about how that happens and what's involved there?
We know a lot about post-traumatic stress, and that was discovered by VA psychologists working with veterans and understanding this is what they experience, what's going on, something traumatic happened to them, whereas there's also what we call moral injury. And moral injury is something either that you've been ordered to do or you've done on your own that goes against your deeply held core beliefs. And the last few experiences of war that we've been through in our country have really exacerbated that. So there have been both post-traumatic stress and then experiences of moral injury. So that's an experience of feeling alienated from oneself, from God, and even from the community.
Well, some of that is actually, they've actually participated in evil things. Could some of it also be that the consciences aren't properly formed and sometimes they might think this is really wrong, but maybe it's not? I don't know how that...
I think it's
I don't know how that plays out.
It's a little bit of the reverse.
Because I can see that causing moral injury as well.
Well, they could, but it's almost the reverse. It's almost that your conscience is working correctly in the sense of I was ordered to do something, and in the moment, it doesn't feel anything. But when I come home or a few months later and reflecting on, I was ordered to shoot through a wall, and I ended up shooting a child I'm not supposed to kill, especially a young person, and now that starts to play on someone's soul. So that means your conscience is actually working in the right way, and in one sense, a step toward healing.
Yeah. There's one thing that I think it's a positive about it, talking about moral injuries. We're actually recognizing scientifically now.
Yes.
I don't think it's in the DSM yet, but it's
no.
But it's DSM is the manual of diagnostic statistical manual that lists all the psychological disorders.
Yes.
However, there's growing research on this.
Yes.
Where the field and the practice of mental health and psychology are recognizing there is a moral injury, and that presupposes something about the human person we have a moral compass.
Correct.
This is one of the things we do at DMU is where we base the backbone of our programs is Catholic anthropology, the Catholic vision of the person, which includes our moral compass and our leading a life of virtue, doing the right thing.
Right.
So I think it's encouraging that research is actually now pretty much in the mainstream accepting that.
Right. I was thinking even one of the prayers for anointing of the sick, so a healing sacrament, calls for fresh courage. right? So think of we want people in the military to have courage, which doesn't mean that they'll do anything without abandon. It means having the courage to stand up and work as a team to pursue a mission, right? And to know when to call out something when it's wrong.
Yeah. So now, I guess the downside of the moral injury is that unfortunately, so many members of the military are experiencing this.
Right.
What resources do you have, or what has the diocese been able to do to make any progress in helping, and what are the keys to doing that?
So we just had a convocation for Catholic priests. The Archbishop does that every 2 years with all priests in the military. And the keynote sessions were on moral injury to really talk about not creating new resources, but looking at what's in the community already to help accompany those who are struggling. And the most important is to listen, right? To be able to listen into a wound, to invite people when they're ready to come back to the sacraments, because we know how important ritual is, to remember that the Lord is always with us, even when we self-doubt, and to realize that we as civilians who have, by our votes, sent people to war, also bear a responsibility to help pray those people back into community. St. Ambrose had a wonderful quote about that, because in his time in the 4th century, the people who were going off to kill would remove themselves from receiving the Eucharist. And that upset him, because the very source of healing they were missing. So he asked the community, we need to pray and cry for those who need this healing to help welcome them back. It's our responsibility. And I think sometimes we expect people who are suffering to go find the healing on their own. So how can we as a community be aware and just mentioning the word moral injury, praying for it, and accompanying that way?
That's a great point. You think about, well, I'm too old to serve in the military now, or whatever. We kind of, that's the problem with the soldiers, but we benefit from it. And what better way to help them and to support them and understand what they've gone through, and in our own way, promoting God's divine mercy and God's mercy in the sacraments,
yes,
and confession if that's necessary, and then supporting them with the sacraments. And I think we do bear a responsibility in a really concrete way that we all can help veterans in this circumstance.
One of the examples we used was the image of Caravaggio's painting of Doubting Thomas, and Jesus guiding Thomas's finger right into his wound, but that the wound that's not only looking in, but there's a wound of that experience that's also looking out, and needing to release some of the things so that the beauty can come out as well.
Well, that's so important, because we think about the resurrections. We sometimes forget Jesus still has the wounds.
That's right.
He's risen.
Yeah.
He's overcome death. He's overcome the crucifixion, but yet those wounds are still there. And I think it can be a real sign for all of us. We've all had different wounds in our lives, different failures, sins, whatever, traumas, experiences. It's okay.
Yeah.
Well, at least in this world, it's not that we're going to be made perfect yet, right? We're still going to carry that with us.
And I think to some soldiers have even talked about being able to look at the crucifix and recognize God traumatized through that experience, to realize the Lord understands and was with me in that traumatic experience.
What other kinds of things we have a rising mental health crisis in the world, in the country. We see the numbers going up. I know with veterans, there's different numbers out there, but a abnormally high suicide rate. What do you see that a lot in your work? And if we have a lot of students who might want to work with veterans. Any thoughts you might offer them?
Yeah, it's becoming a big issue on active duty as well as with veterans. The sense of alienation that kind of secular society has manifested has been a challenge. A lot of times people will do their work day on a military installation, go back to the barracks, and maybe play games with people back home, not interact with people who are their neighbors. And so this is kind of a missing piece of what's it mean to build community anymore, and how difficult it is to come around and do that. So the military is understanding that, is trying to get mental health providers to be closer to them, even on ships and in the barracks, kind of like on university campuses. So there's definitely a need, and those who would study that and could walk alongside would be very needed.
I suppose with many military vets, I mean, they're trained to be tough,
Right.
whether a man or woman. They don't show your emotions.
Yeah.
Uh, are they more reluctant to seek help about anything? I wonder if you.
There has been, and it used to be in the military, if you sought mental health providers, that would go on your record. So you would be seen as no longer being able to be a good leader. Right? That is starting to shift now because people are recognizing the intensity of how we engage in what we call kinetic actions in the military warfare is so intense now that it can't not affect people. And senior leaders are realizing if we don't do something about this, we're going to have a problem. So the Marines even had a mental health provider over all of the Marines to talk about, we've got to be talking about mental health issues and helping accompany people looking for signs for suicide awareness, things like that.
And also, so many great priests are in the military archdiocese, and I think they all need a military appointment, right? Or they get training and so forth.
They do, yes. Yeah, how to be an officer in the military, how to lead as a chaplain, but then also bring their gift as called as a priest to serve wherever Catholics are serving themselves. Yeah.
So we have a lot of our students, we have many students with military backgrounds. We'd like to get more, of course, because I think the need is so great. You do need more. And we have quite a few of our doctoral students have interned at VA hospitals. Some have gone back to work there after. So there's a real heart, I think, among the DMU community, or at least there's a lot of interest to serve. And so any words to students like that who really want to thinking about making it a career, or even if it's private practice, if they want to specialize in military veterans? We have a first responder who was a former undercover police officer. All he sees now are police officers in military.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're getting more and more students who kind of want to do that, carve out a niche, because sometimes I think to break maybe the stigma, the military part, they will trust someone who's been there before,
Right.
and lived through that than they would just go to whomever.
I think
So, I don't know, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the key. What you just said. I think I would encourage those who are in the military who feel a call to study at Divine Mercy to really contemplate it, because those who are struggling are going to feel as though they're heard first by those who understand that lifestyle. It doesn't mean the only ones, but it's the most important starting place. And when you can listen with compassion and understand what the struggle is in living a military life, that creates a bond right away that's going to really help the healing process. So we've been very privileged to have a partnership with Divine Mercy University and the Archdiocese with the Military Services, and we're really looking forward to seeing that grow.
Well, thank you. We're blessed to have that partnership and to work with you, bringing more students, helping form more students to go out and serve the military. And it's one of those areas that we really need to be. We love our religious freedom. We love our country. These are the men and women who make it happen, who protect us, and we can never underestimate their sacrifices and the service they do for everyone. So,
Right. Yeah.
Thank you for your service and what you're doing, and be assured of our prayers. And I ask everyone out there to pray for our military archdiocese, and hopefully, understand, how we can better love and serve our veterans as they come back.
Thanks so much, and thanks for the great work you're doing to help encourage people to find healing, both individually and in community. It's important work.
Thank you, Mark. God bless you.
Yeah, you, Father. Thank you.